Hey guys, another phenomenal podcast here with Gutter Installer. Very unique setup today. We are on location. I can't believe where we are. In studio at the Brothers That Just Do Gutters headquarters in Poughkeepsie, New York. Ryan Parsons, one of the owners, one of the brothers, was so kind as to invite us here to sit down and chop it up and have a chat. So here we are, and we're going to get right into it. So Ryan, thank you for having me. I just had the grand tour with you. Yep. You're an exceptional host thus far. You know, the day is young, but
it is young. We'll see.
Very impressed with the facility. You have a lot going on here. Everything is clearly organized, tidy, very phenomenal staff. Everybody's got a smile on. The little things that I look for, I've seen and found, and obviously this is real. The myth is real. You guys really are making this thing happen. So
yeah.
Hat goes off to you there. Thank you for the tour.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
Having me here, I thought maybe we'd spin up some content, and I thought a great topic for us would be to kind of dive into our backgrounds.
Yeah.
You and I are literally almost to the year or to the month longevity, 22 years in this business. Mm-hmm. You are only an hour or so from my home, so you've always been kind of a natural predator out in the wild, right? A competitor. So we always knew each other. I've called you years ago.
Competitor.
A competitor.
That's a new word.
But we're all getting long in the beard and gray.
It's true.
So we are evolving. I'm evolving. I'm into new stuff. You have built quite the franchise here, and I thought maybe we just talk about it and
sure.
Follow our trails, tell the audience where we've been, what we're up to, and
absolutely
what our future visions are.
Awesome. So we do an origin story?
Yes, it's like Wolverine and some Marvel comic stuff.
Wolverine and Deadpool?
Whatever we want to do.
Sounds good. All right. So, ours very similar to yours, but my brother started a gutter business in 1999 after working for a gutter installer, learned the trade a bit for a year or so, and decided, you know what? I think I can do this on my own, a lot like everyone else who started a gutter business,
100%.
Right? And he did that for a couple years. And I got out of college, and I started working like weekends for him.
Okay.
And
what was the name of the company at that point?
Waterfall Seamless Gutters.
Okay.
All right. So he hired me as a helper on the weekends while I was trying to get my graphic design career going.
Oh, neat.
So I was working in graphic design. I was a fine art major, all that kind of stuff. So I loved marketing and all that fun things. And then the company I was working for, it was a .com that became a .bomb. So all of a sudden, they're going out of business.
Right.
And I remember working for 3 months for free, just hopefully that we can get this thing to go.
Before 2005 or something?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was like 2002.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right when all that happened. And so they went out of business finally, and then I found myself full-time on a gutter truck with my brother with like these cool skills I have.
Right.
So I'm looking at his business through my marketing eyes. But he only hired me to be a gutter installer. And this is like what I teach to like the installers that come in. It's like, I started where you did.
Right.
I had the same opportunity. My brother wanted a helper. He didn't ask for a partner. He didn't say, look, we're going to build this cool thing someday.
So was he squashing those marketing ideas in the passenger seat?
What was crazy is, he once I started to look at his business and said, Ken, do you have any job forms? Like, we could organize this. We're going to houses, and it's like, crap, I forgot it's brown. Right. Remember those days?
Yeah, of course.
And so I'm like, I can make you a form because I had that skill. So I made him a form, and then that form evolved, and it was really helpful. And we stopped missing material. I'm like, do you have a website? He's like, no. And it's 2002.
Right.
It's not like today not having a website. Then we were the first gutter company to have a website.
Right.
Possibly you did.
We were definitely competing on that.
Yeah.
And it was amazing how many calls you get.
Oh,
because there was nobody else out there.
We were the first ones to pull out of the phone book.
Simple stuff.
Like while it was all changing,
right?
All of our competitors kept going bigger in the phone book because they didn't understand why their business was dwindling, and I'm going smaller. And eventually,
to you young guys out there, just a quick pause. This is the evolution of life. You probably don't even remember or know the Yellow Pages.
They sat on a phone book, probably a lot of them.
You're right, exactly, at the kitchen table. But that's the evolution, right? So, like, what's the next phone book? The internet. I don't want to divert, but
because then we'll be an AI, and before you know it,
we could talk about how Google is taking over everything, and websites are not as important as a Google My Business profile, and
how
it's
changing,
all evolving.
It's shifting. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
So no, and so it was really cool, and what was so awesome is my brother's like, yes, So I made a logo. I designed it. We had shirts. We started to look like a legit company, even though we were a bunch of knuckleheads on a truck,
right,
you know?
Right.
And literally we tried to get our day done fast enough to go fishing. I mean, that was like the business plan.
Neat.
But it started to evolve, and I'm doing this for him. And I said, Ken, I kind of want to pursue my graphic design dreams. I had a side business and stuff. I'm like, but if I'm going to help you like grow the business, not just come to work, like how could I be a partner? Are you interested? And he goes, you know what? If you buy a truck, I want to go to a second truck. I'll make you a 30% partner.
Okay.
And so imagine this. I'm making a little bit above minimum wage, and I have a truck payment.
Right.
So I bought in.
Right.
You know, so again, like I had the vision to build something bigger.
So you each took out your own helper? Is that where?
No. It was, so I started doing all the sales, marketing, and admin.
Right.
So I figured a way to get off the truck. Don't tell anybody. And he was awesome at gutters. I was only ever a great helper, you know.
One question. When I forget when you went to the font and the cartoons. Was that you? Was that your brainchild?
I wanted to so badly. I knew exactly what I wanted, but I didn't have that skill as a graphic designer with the caricatures.
Yeah, it's tricky.
So I led the charge to get that, but I did not design it. I wish I could say yes.
Okay.
So it was really cool that we wanted to grow the business. And as my brother saw that I was doing sales and admin, he's like, I don't want to be on a truck forever.
Right.
And so we started to come up with a plan. Like, well, if you will go to a second truck and eventually we'll go to a third and you can then come off. And so that's what we did. We didn't know how to read our books or a P&L. This was all like kind of figuring it out and like that should work.
You're just kind of feeling your way through it.
And just saying like eventually, and one of the things that really motivated us is right around that time, a lot of our parents, they were starting to retire, right? Their friends who were in the trades couldn't sell their business. We knew a guy who was a great
writing on the wall.
And so we're like, crap, do we have a business?
Where's this going to go?
Like we need to build something that could be worth something someday.
Right.
So again, we didn't have a grand plan, and we started building. We got up to a few crews. My brother started to get out of the field, and I don't remember all the timing, but that recession that hit,
brutal.
That literally almost destroyed us because we were so entrenched in new construction.
Right.
We had all the toll.
We all had to be. That was the only way to make a living, right?
Easiest thing.
Easy money. They
Easy
just tell
money.
you go do this gutter job, and
it almost put us under. I remember being
you and everybody.
We had $100,000 in receivables. And I was wondering how we're going to make payroll, which might have been $3,000 or $5,000. I mean, we weren't a big company.
Right.
And I'm sitting there going, what happened?
Brutal.
You know, and there's more to the story how we diversified because we went into new construction at the same time. And so we kind of had a double whammy of trying to learn how to do new construction and build.
Right.
But I'll save you all that.
2008?
Yep, 7, 8. Got our butts handed to us. And then we just said, forget it. We're not doing construction. We're going to stick to what got us here. And that's when we changed it.
Okay, guys listening at home, same thing. I don't do new construction. I haven't done new construction in many, many, many years.
Yeah, well,
15
we can't.
years. I mean,
we can't. Like when you have the size of a company that has the staff and all that,
you can't possibly charge low enough for the builder.
But I think it's a great, like when you're getting started because of the pricing. I mean, it's hard because they don't want to pay you on time. So now you're footing the bill.
Yeah,
you're doing it for less. But it is lucrative to some people at the right business model.
I agree. It also gives you that volume, right, to cut your teeth on installs.
Oh, yeah.
Learn the trade, really understand it.
Yeah, but it's like a double whammy because in order to make money, you got to do it fast. So you need your best guys. Yeah. So you're sending your top talent to do the lowest paid work.
You're chasing your tail. And when you're in it, you don't even realize you're doing it. And so many of you guys that's how your business model is run. You refuse to put money into marketing and advertising, and you just want that phone to ring with these builders and contractors, and you're stuck on the hamster wheel. That's basically what's
hard to get out of that.
Yeah.
And it's hard to imagine scaling when you're looking at what that type of work needs to be done. And there is a way, and I think the bigger you get, so it's come full circle. Now having 10, 11 trucks going out, you know, it's hard to not get the condo complex.
Right.
Because we can bang it out in a week, and it'll take a owner-operator months. Right. Because they got to fit in all their other work. So there is, you know, the middle ground is where it's tough.
It's true.
You know,
but you're an outlier of, 120%. Like, so at this point, how many trucks do you run in your own local service company?
11.
Okay. And they're all out today? Like, you guys
I think I saw one back there that wasn't out. So there's 11 going out almost every day. I don't know exactly how they, decide who goes where.
So without, as we get deeper and deeper into this, what I already like that Ryan just said is that he practices what he preaches, right? He's not telling you how to do it. This is what you need to do. He's doing it too. No different than myself. I still own my local services companies. I'm into rain gutters and drainage and roofing, but I also am on the marketing side and on the software side. So, it's tough to take marching orders from somebody that's not in the trenches themselves or not doing it.
Been there.
They idealize it and they put like these cute little bow ties on it and you're like, nah, but you're doing it. So, hats off.
I appreciate it. So I'll try and wrap this up quick. We, I call all these, a lot of things are shiny lures. When you're trying to grow a business and you think, I can go do this and that, unless you've got that one thing down pat, I don't like to diversify. Yeah. And I think people diversify too soon and then you become good at nothing.
You're right.
Right? So I think there is a time and place to branch out into drainage or roofing, but it's not when you can't, it's not because you can't make money at the one thing. Like, get that right.
You're right.
So we said, we're done with all that. We just do gutters and we're brothers. Right. And so literally the name came out of a marketing brainstorm.
What year did that name hit?
Right around 2007 or 8.
Okay.
So it was as we're getting our butts handed to us. We're figuring out how to get out of this. I remember going to a radio webinar. This is back when everyone, they all thought we were successful, even though we're like, I don't know how we're gonna make payroll, but because we have a bunch of trucks, it looked a lot better on the outside. And they gave us a free session with the speaker. I'm like, they don't know we don't have money. And we did a brainstorm of a radio commercial, and they're like, well, what don't you do? We're like, or do you do anything besides gutters? Like, no, we just do gutters.
I love it.
And they're like, and your family, so we should concentrate the fact that you're brothers and you only do gutters. And then before you know it, that was our tagline, and eventually we changed the whole company name. And
so then, do you find that was out of necessity at that period of time where you had to stretch and market and figure out a way to brand and
we had to get back in front of the homeowner?
I mean, it was out of necessity.
Otherwise we were going out of business.
Your
go
humble
back to
beginnings
the
as a marketer and say, okay, let's get this right.
And they were right there. It was so easy to get back in front of them. Right. We were ignoring them because you land a whole Toll Brothers account and it's fun for the day.
Yeah.
And then when they started to change, you used to go knock out 3, 4, 5 houses in a day.
Right.
And then they weren't ready. And now you're sending crews out there and the masonry's not on.
Yeah, come back in 2 days.
And now I'm like, and then when I tried to raise my I'm not picking on them, so hopefully they're not watching, but I was trying to raise my pricing and they're like, you can't charge $50 more on the same model in this development. I was like, I signed that contract 2 years ago and it was just impossible.
Right.
So I'm like, you're fired.
Yeah,
I fired all
anymore.
the builders and it was the best thing ever because the way I looked at it is like it was great for my competitors.
Best thing ever. Was there tell these guys at home that are nervous of this stuff, was there a hiccup? Was there like, a drop off for a few months and then it picked back up, or was it just instant?
I honestly don't remember, but homeowner
Even
work
better,
is completely different.
I don't either.
Yeah,
I don't remember that blip. I don't remember that pain.
I remember we were able to get back in front of them fairly quickly. We did have to downsize, and there was some rebuilding. But what I do know is that to do construction work, you can be a slob.
Totally.
Like if you're going to get in front of the homeowner and you think that you can, wear a wife beater and flip flops and smoke and listen to foul music, and you're not going to get those jobs.
Right.
Right. So completely I think for some people, new construction's the best.
They can hide out, lay under the radar.
It's all about price. You don't have to have you don't have to pay for marketing. So you're saving a ton of money by doing it. If you want to get in front of the homeowner, you need a real business.
So those are the hard facts, guys. I mean, it's true, and it's going to hurt some people to hear that. But if you're hiding out under the radar and you're running low key and you're dodging marketing spend, all the power to you. But you're again stuck on that hamster wheel, glass ceiling. You can't grow, and the only way to do it is to up your game, to improve your game, and to impress the homeowner. That takes a lot of chops. You have to have a lot of things organized and be doing a lot of things right at the same time.
It's crazy.
But then you get that top dollar.
Yeah. So right around that time, my brother and I, we he started this self-reflection journey. Like when we were like in the midst of rebuilding the company, and he started reading and going to these seminars and everything, and he's passing me books left and right. I'm like, and then before you know it, we're like self-developed development, self-improvement junkies.
Yeah.
And so the only way we could change our business was changing ourselves. And one of the books that my brother grabbed onto and then I did afterwards was Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow Quadrant.
It's a good one.
And this spelled it out perfectly, right? So the cash flow quadrant, you got to imagine it's a quadrant. So there's 4 squares. There's an E square for employee, an S square for self-employed, a B for business owner, an I for investor. And most of us, it's so easy to go from employee to self-employed, right? Right now, Steve can say, Ryan, I'm done filming this podcast. I'm doing my own thing. And he could be self-employed literally 5 minutes from now and do his own thing. But what I didn't, so when you go from employee to self-employed, and there's no wrong quadrant, right? It's all depending on what you want. But I think most of us, we think, why am I doing work for Frank and Ryan? I'm going to go start my own. I'm making them all their money.
Right.
And we're just thinking about the act of installing a gutter,
Correct.
Not the act of owning a business. So we go from employee to self-employed, and instead of having one boss, now every client becomes our boss.
That's right.
Right? And so that is where we were stuck, was in self-employed. And Robert Kiyosaki's definition of a business owner was somebody who can leave their business for 3 to 6 months and it runs without them.
Right.
And I remember like trying to sneak in.
That's heavy, by the way. That's heavy.
Whew.
Some would say 2 weeks, so you could take a long, extensive vacation. 3 to 6 months means you're truly not in the business. You're not running that.
You're not. And
your staff is making it happen.
And that was like that became our goal. We're like, we need to build a real business.
Right.
Because every time something went wrong, Ken's back out on a truck. I'm doing cleanings. And it's not that it was below us, but it's like if I'm trying to build something, I cannot save the day with my tool belt. Like that is the number one mistake that we make trying to grow.
We all did it. We all did it. I did it. I would, get home at 9:30, 10 at night. I can't tell you how many times I had plans, whether it was a date, when I was single, or I was going to go see my buddies, or I was going to get to the gym. Mm-hmm. I had after hours plans that I had to scrap, and I get home at 9 or 10 o'clock, pitch black out. You're exhausted, and then you got to get up at 5 or 6 the next day. Yep. And it happens again and again, and that's insanity. It sucked.
It is, and that's why most people go back to owner-operator. I tried it. I had 2 trucks.
Yeah.
The guy stole from me. I lost a building contract. And it's like
touch the hot pan a few times.
I made more money when I was by myself.
Of course, right?
And that's what happens. And my brother and I said, forget all that. We want to become business owners. And I'll tell you, that was the hardest thing, because for most of you guys listening, if you have 1 truck, if you want to make the same money you're making now and not do the work, most of you have to have 3 trucks.
Yeah, it's a triple.
To actually you have to triple the size of your business to make what you were making doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
But that's where the freedom begins. That's where the building begins.
And it's really not hard, actually. So like by the math, it's $2.5 to $3 million, I think, is the sweet spot on having a business that you could step away from, still make a decent living. You're not killing it. Maybe you're netting 150, maybe 200 grand, but everybody, heads explode. $3 million. It's not that much. It's really not that much.
It's not.
You just have to have a few things right, or a lot of things right, but repetition and consistency, and it pays out.
It does. And so that was our goal. Our goal was to have a company that ran without us, because we went from, it's funny how like when you start, networking and stuff, everyone wants to go golfing, right? Yeah, right. So I had to learn how to golf, but they golf during freaking work hours.
It never worked for me, really.
I
love golf.
I tried.
I can't.
So I remember I would sneak. Yeah. I'd get the guys set up. Like, all right, guys, have a great day. I got a lot going on.
An hour later, you're in the cart, the phone rings.
And then
you're standing, your friends are like, let's go, you're up.
And I was mad. I remember being mad, like being out there. I'm like, I can't even, and I'm like, I don't deserve it.
Yeah.
I did not set them up for success. So if they forgot material or they didn't have something because I missed it, that's my fault. And that's when we really systematized our business.
Okay. So right there, that was the pivotal point where Ryan took ownership. And that's why this franchise got put together, because he said, it's my fault. I didn't create the systems. And he knew he was hell-bent on creating systems.
Yeah. I
can't tell you how many of you guys blame everybody else. It's never your fault. this guy, I can't believe what I hire him for. It's everybody else's fault except your own. The minute you take accountability and understand it's your responsibility to build this thing, everything kind of starts falling into place.
It's true. And it all did. And it was every book that we hired a coach. We learned how to read our numbers. And then the vision for building a franchise was born. You know, my brother, and the idea was like back in 2007, 8, because people thought we were a franchise. Because we had lettered vehicles, we answered the phone, we showed up on time.
That's when you know your marketing is hitting.
Yeah, and it's like, are you a franchise? We're like, no. My brother's like, why wouldn't we be? I'm like, I don't know. What does that mean?
Right.
You know, and we're like, you know, and we loved it because it's like, the idea of opening up a bunch of corporate stores scared me.
Right.
Because I could put a great manager in place, but if they just, you know, quit, now I'm back in the hamster wheel. And now what? I'm driving out to Connecticut.
Right. Trying to save the day.
We love the idea of franchising because of that cash flow quadrant. My brother and I figured out how to get to the business owner side, and now we are on the business owner and investor side, which is very cool. So the self-employed to get to business owner became our passion. And it was our passion for ourselves, but it became our passion for our buddies. My landscaping, like, how are you doing this? You've got crews going out. Your phone's not ringing. You're going away for 2-3 weeks at a time, and my phone's not ringing.
Right.
And it's because we built the system.
That feels good, right?
It started out small. I remember, you know, take a week off and nobody called, and you come back to like the place is on fire. They didn't want to bother you.
Right.
It's like, all right,
Stacks
that
of
wasn't
paper on
worth
your
it.
desk.
It's like, I didn't want to bother you. I'm like, you should have, because this is, and then it got back to, then they became proud over it. And that's how you know you have the right employees.
Yeah.
If
impress
ever
you.
You're trying to grow your business and you're putting on your collared shirt because you're going to run out and do estimates, and your guys are like, must be nice. It's like, yeah, must be nice that you guys are going to be done in an hour and I'm going to be working till 9:30 tonight.
Yeah, the old must be nice. Well, I grew up on must be nice.
Get me going on must be nice.
That's how the business was formed.
But that's what it takes.
Yeah.
And that's what was really cool, is to see that. So we proved it. We proved it through our numbers. We learned our numbers, our KPIs, revenue per hour. I mean, all this stuff that we track is enormous. And then we wanted to teach others. And our heart was actually for the stuck gutter guy.
Yeah.
Like, our heart was for the guys that would call us up that were actually hungry, not the ones that like just hated us because we were growing. The guys that are like, dude, like, how are you doing that? Like, can you help me out? I'm like, absolutely.
Would you say that's the demographic on your typical franchisee? It's the stuck gutter guy, or is it?
It's not.
I see a lot of business guys that come in to say, "Hey, this is lucrative, and I want to I want a part of this."
And that's what's so,
because they're smart and savvy
crazy.
Business people.
They're smart and savvy, and it's typically people that actually have lived the American dream from the outside.
Right.
They've got 401ks. They've got a great job. They were making money. They have money saved so that they can buy a franchise, but they don't want to be in that hamster wheel.
Right.
And I'm like, and so our goal is to teach them how to become business owners as fast as possible. Our goal, even when we were hoping that gutter installers that wanted to learn how to grow and become $1 million company, $2 million and $3 million, that was where we hoped people would do it. But there was just a lot of pushback on like, well, why would I give you my money? I can keep it all. I'm like, well,
there's a lot of reasons. You just look, guys, I'm exhausted. Right? I'm 22 years in. I'm 47. I have a high motor. I'm an outlier in a lot of ways. I have a high motor, and I just keep. I'm 8 weeks today, total knee replacement. I'm sitting on a stool talking. I should be limping around with a walker or a cane, crying my eyes out at home and in bed. I'm here because I have a high motor and high drive. Not everybody has that, but you know, Ryan seems to have made it easy. I personally, as an entrepreneur, the struggle and the strife, that's what I define myself with. That's what makes me. But it's not for the weak of heart. It sucks. There's times where it's brutal.
Right. We'll do anything if it's hard, as long as there's an end in sight.
You make it nice and easy. You've done it. You've already tested these things. You've battle tested these manuals, these procedures, and now you're saying, look. Now I will tell you, and you guys at home know, I have reach all over the country, and I know a lot of Ryan's franchisees actually, and a lot of them are doing very, very well, and they get to making money a lot faster than I did. I mean, my first 10 years, banging my head against the wall for 10 years trying to figure it all out. Yeah. And now here I am, like, all right, I feel good about the fact that I figured it out on my own. But man, if I could do it all over again.
Well, you're at the same position I'm in. it took us 10 years to figure out how to do something that we're showing someone how to do it in a year.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So I just looked so I could, I actually curious what your thoughts are. The average owner operator, what top line revenue do you think the average owner operator does in a year?
Oh, so I study the demographic heavily with all the things that we're involved in. Unfortunately, and I don't like the results. If you poll the nation, your average rain gutter contractor, it's like the old 80-20 principle. 80% are doing $280 to maybe $400,000.
Okay.
It's not even 80-20. It's probably more like 90-10. The 10%ers, I'm one of them. You're clearly, you're a 1%er. The 10%ers are, multi-million dollar, but there's not many. A lot of these guys are hand to mouth, and I don't say that in an ugly way. But you guys are going out there, you're working, maybe you're selling for 2 days, you're running estimates for 2 days straight, you're finding jobs, and then you switch gears, and then you go install for 3 days. You run to the supply house, you buy a coil, you bang out a few jobs, and then you keep doing that cycle. You have a helper, you have a brother, you have a friend, you have a wife. It's you and a helper, and it's subsisting. And so that it truly is the demographic. I know it because
and my guess was around 300.
Okay, so you're right. Yeah, right.
Because we've had a few a few owner operators convert to a brother's system,
right?
And it was slightly different than that. But what's crazy is one of my favorite stories is one of our guys that converted his own he had a gutter company, converted to a brothers that just do gutters. He did $1 million in his first 10 months or 11. I don't want to misquote.
Not surprised.
Never hit it before.
He knew how to install already.
Well, but he didn't do the work. That was the crazy thing. So why for 10 years, and I don't want to misquote, could he not get over 350 or 4?
So many reasons.
And now we give him this system in the first 10, 11 months, he's doing that. Our average franchisee, and a lot of these are corporate America guys that never looked at a gutter, but they're looking for a business opportunity. They like the numbers. They like the idea of working with people, building a legacy. So they really like this business. I just looked last year, the average, this is someone from corporate America. The average, their first full year of business was $884,000.
Wow.
First full year in business. It used to be a little bit higher, but we launched a lot of people at one time. We actually had a guy recently who didn't quit his job, bought a brothers that just do gutters, was running it. I guess you can call it semi-passive. I guarantee it was like he ran himself ragged.
Yeah, sure.
He pulled
it off.
He did over $2 million in his first year.
Good Lord.
I mean, that's a record.
It's phenomenal.
So that's the outlier.
Without saying exactly where, can you tell the state? Just so we know, region.
I think it's Minnesota.
Interesting.
I mean, and he's got severe winters.
Yeah.
So he did all that.
They shut him down for 4 months, 3
Yeah.
days.
So it was.
That's great.
It was. So we're seeing incredible things, and there's struggles too. We've had some people that didn't make it, and I'm sure some of you guys have seen in your market of brothers that might have come and gone,
right.
And that's sad. But it's like we see gutter guys that are actually know the trade inside and out come and go. Yeah. So we continue to evolve it. We continue to try and find the right fit because even though we have it figured out, it still takes grit. It still takes passion. You still got to get through startup. You still got to go through employees and, all the stuff that you need to be a leader. But back to my personal journey, and I'll kind of stop right there, is if you're not developing as a person, then there's no way you can develop your people.
You've got it. And so that being said, is your part of your program human development?
Dude, we do so
That's
much
what
of
it is.
I would say 60% of our training is soft skills.
Unreal.
Yeah.
So the sales training, would you say the customer service side is more important than the install? That's a kind of a loaded question. So I feel like
it's two roles. So we send out a salesperson,
right,
that sells the job, and then the installers install it. But it's absolutely more important because you never read a review. Oh my gosh, I checked and the gutters were pitched a tenth of an inch every foot, just like it's supposed to be.
Right.
And that hand-tabbed miter, my gosh, it's the nicest in the neighborhood.
It's gutters. It's 2 stories up generally or more, and no one goes up there to look except for that crazy customer.
You'll see they answered the phone. They were so nice. They cleaned up. They gave my dog a treat.
Yes.
That's the review.
Yes, you're right, the soft skills.
So it's the soft skills. So we spend a ton of time on that because a lot of people in the trades, they've never been taught that.
Can I ask, do you find that is, I don't want to say an uphill battle, but is that a job for you guys where you have to work at that with others, or did the people take fast to it?
It's a job in the beginning. Like, let's say you have guys that have never done that. They don't want to they don't want to wear a uniform. You're stuck.
Yeah.
You might have to get rid of good
Get them
people.
out of their comfort zone a little.
Once it's your culture, the next guy they fall in line. Like, this sounds crazy, but all our installers have to read books in order to get a raise to the next level. So they're easy books, but it's like, 12 Pillars, the 1 Minute Manager, because if I'm on a truck with you and the owner's not there, I need to know how to manage and talk to you.
Yeah.
So
it's a brilliant idea. That's
so there's a
phenomenal.
lot of things that we have built in to develop, because if I don't want just better workers, I want great people.
Sure.
So great people provide a great experience. So once you get your one or two people, like if you have one or two people, if you can get them to buy in, that third person sees it and they're like, oh, they're all in uniform. I guess I have to wear my uniform.
Right.
But if
that's
you're
the
all,
culture, right?
It's
You're
the
in or
culture.
you're out.
So it's like a clean house. I look at it like, if you go into someone's house and everything's tidy and you see shoes on the side, you take your shoes off.
Right.
If you walk in and they're hoarders and you see crap everywhere, you're like, I ain't taking my shoe. So it's the same as our business.
Totally get it.
And the last thing I'll say on that is if you're sitting there saying all the time, I can't find good help, I can't keep anybody, here's the reality.
It's you.
A players don't want to work for B players.
It's true.
So if you want to be an A player, you need to have an A business.
Right.
Just like people lie on their resumes, all of us lie about our company.
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing this and we're great and I pay 40 hours a week and we never run out of work. It's like, and they find out that you weren't truthful, just as we find out that they didn't know what they were doing either.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. Incredible. So how much, like, is there a shakedown or a deep interview process to see if somebody's actually a good fit, or what's your
Depends on the
approach on that?
franchisee. We have a whole entire system for that as far as making sure, but sometimes people just get nervous and they need a body.
Yeah.
And you start, I heard someone say once the inmates are running the asylum.
Yeah. I've heard
and
that
we
a
can
bunch.
get that. We can get ourselves there, but that's our leadership. What's funny is when we actually have standards and hold a system for excellence, everyone, they actually respect it and appreciate it. But yeah, it is rigorous to get people in, but we've been more in the business of making diamonds out of coal than finding diamonds.
I love it. Well, so light bulb just went off. Ryan and I have been talking for about 20 minutes. Ryan, we're not even talking about installing gutters. We're not even talking about
we do gutters.
turning a drill or pulling a trigger on a drill and, sending a screw into a gutter. We haven't even touched on that. It's about soft skills. It's about humanity. It's about people. It's about personalities.
Yeah.
That's clearly how Ryan has built this thing and made this happen, Ryan and Ken. And guys at home, stop talking about hand-cut miters, box miters. Like, we know you can install. Start focusing on softer skills and on yourself, and pick a book up once in a while.
Yeah, well, stay tuned. Right after this, we're doing a hand tab miter contest.
Right.
We're going to see who can do it faster.
I got my pouch in the truck. I'll
But when it comes
out.
to hiring, you hire for attitude, train for aptitude.
That's it.
Right? So these are, you want to have a good team, read this book, The Ideal Team Player. There are so many things that go into having a successful business, and yes, we happen to do gutters.
I love it. That's the right way to look at it. It could be anything, right? I mean, it could be any industry.
Yeah.
It's the human inner workings of it first. If you don't have that, nothing comes behind it. Doesn't matter what it is.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So where does this go? I mean, how big are you guys now? Is there a current?
I think we're right around 120 franchisees or so.
Very healthy. And you bloomed quick, right? And you have like a real surge for like
crazy.
12 months or something.
Yeah, we signed like 85 franchisees in like 6 or 7 months.
I don't even know how you do that.
I don't know how we did it. We
incredible.
did it. There was definitely, we could have done a few things better. But it was like all of a sudden we were the cool kid in franchising. Because we had such a great model, and we had such great franchisees that were with us since 2015. And some of these guys, just so you know, we have a few franchisees. They started as an apprentice gutter installer. There's a guy, Jimmy, who came from Africa. His first day of work showed up in flip-flops and a tank top.
Wow.
He didn't know what a gutter was, but my brother said, hey, if you're looking for work, I need a guy tomorrow. And so that guy literally worked up through the system, everything, bought a franchise.
Wonderful.
And as one of the largest franchises in our system.
Wow, that's awesome.
In Allentown,
Great success
Pennsylvania.
story.
And we have other guys that started installation at Brothers and own franchises. So it's really cool, and it's a lot of people's dream, and it's how cool is that it's real?
For sure.
That the guy that just got hired today, that could be his trajectory. So that's what I believe is also big. If you guys don't grow your business, you're not going to keep good people, because most good people want the next opportunity. So whether that's an opportunity, you just don't want to, I don't want to be Frank's helper for the rest of my life.
Nobody does.
But hey, I want to get another truck. Someday you can run that truck.
Right.
Eventually, I'm going to need someone to run the field, because when we're out golfing, because we want to get the business to there, someone's got to get that crap phone call that someone didn't show up.
Yeah, these things happen.
So it's really, I love the vision of it. I love helping people achieve their dreams. It's been more fulfilling getting that phone call. Ryan, thank you so much for franchising your business. I get a call, I'd say once every couple months, from a guy, Luke Smith. He goes, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. My family, we have the dream home.
I love it.
It's crazy. And it's not that it's hard. I don't want to paint.
I'm sure you have that positive feedback loop though, constantly, right? Every time you look around,
there's always something positive.
There's a lot of satisfied folks.
When you're at the top, you only hear, mostly you hear the bad stuff.
Yeah.
You hear, something that went wrong. But that's why I treasure those calls. When someone just goes out of their way to say, man, you made a difference in my life. I'm like, that was worth everything.
And let me preface this too. Why am I here, right? Why am I here visiting Ryan? Ryan actually is arguably a competitor of mine. He is a competitor. His trucks come down into my neighborhood. Okay?
We're just spying on you. We don't actually work there.
Yeah, I saw you guys parked outside of my house yesterday. So he's a direct competitor. But here we are chopping it up. It's not a big deal. There's so many houses and homeowners out there. It's not a threat either way. The reason why I'm here is there's just so many options out there for you guys. And one thing I wanted to do is demystify that Darth Vader, the dark side stuff. You guys are, it's a testament to your marketing and your success. Okay. Because you guys are doing so well, there are a lot of haters. There's a lot of guys out there that are threatened by you and your marketing. Guys, the only way to get around that, circumvent that, is either get with Ryan or learn from Ryan or understand what makes it tick. You don't have to get into the franchise deal. Some of you, maybe this is a phenomenal fit, and I suggested and definitely welcome the connection and give a call over here. But for other guys, again, why am I doing this? Learn. What are the things? Everything Ryan is saying is no different than what any of us say on these groups. And the important things is self-growth and awareness and self-evolution and treating people right and soft skills and really learning how to connect to the consumer. For me, it's all about residential, what we call retail work. How do I connect to the homeowner? How do I get their attention? Why do they like me over the next guys? Why do they like me over Ryan? I definitely win jobs over Ryan. Why? Because I'm doing a lot of the things Ryan is also doing, Ryan and his collective. So you guys have to get to that. It's not just going to fall in your lap. Things don't change automatically because you go to bed and say a prayer. You have to change your actions. Definition of insanity, right, is expecting results but changing nothing. So, you have to start making improvements in yourself. Take some pointers from Ryan or get with Ryan. They're doing big things. 120 franchisees. That number's staggering. Where is this going? Do we have a goal or forecasts?
We think we could possibly over time, because what happens is once you sell out some of the tier 1 territories, and there's still some left, then you start to get into ancillary, and then it gets a little bit slower. So we're probably, I'd say halfway or a little bit more than what we could possibly accomplish in franchisees and territories and whatnot.
So maybe round out around 300. I
would
think it's
say
a healthy number.
250-ish is probably going to be a really great number.
Sure.
And then the whole goal is just make it better. We're continually changing everything. We're continually, how do we make it easier for to onboard salespeople? How do we make it easier to give a quote? How do we make it more frictionless for our client? It's continual evolution of how do we become better? How do I get a franchisee starting up a little faster? How do we kick in the marketing a little bit? Continually.
So content. I got the tour, and I saw the marketing department, and there was a bunch of people hard at work in that area of the building, and constant content. You're just working on more
content. different advertising methods. We
Manuals
A/B test everything.
Awesome.
It's like, oh, what about TikTok? I don't know. Let's test it.
Yeah,
Well, what about this? Like, some of it doesn't work, some of it works, and it could be our execution, could be our message. It's hard to know without really testing.
Actually, why don't you take a second and tell, for those that don't know, like, what exactly do you guys handle for the franchisee? Is it this turnkey? Are you doing all the marketing, the lead appointment setting, and
so?
Because those are stumbling blocks for a lot of guys.
And the way I look at it, it's like when you're an owner operator, like it's like if you thought about like hats, and everyone's like, oh, I wear a lot of hats. Like if you like literally thought about the hat, owner operator, you're the installer, you're the sales guy, you're the marketing guy, you're the IT guy, you're the human resource. I mean, that's how many hats you're wearing. So our goal for franchise, like, what could we take off?
Yeah.
And so, yes, when somebody calls the Brothers that Just Do Gutters and hits 1 to schedule an estimate, we schedule it for the entire system.
That's awesome.
So all of a sudden, the guy out in Atlanta is like, oh, got an estimate. And so they have to go fulfill it.
Right.
Measure, do all that stuff, put the quote
in.
They're
not answering the phone. They don't need to have an appointment setter on payroll. That saves them a lot of money.
And then when that person schedules, we schedule it for them too.
Okay.
Right? So we do all that, and then we have an entire marketing team. So all the collateral, all the wrap trucks, all the SEO, all the SEM, we do for them. What we actually can't do is local marketing. I can't go join a chamber. I can't go set up a table at a booth or a fair, but I can give you all the training on how to do networking, so
clearly Ryan promotes that. You guys should be doing trade shows, and you need exposure in the community. If you're not being seen, you're not being hired. I mean, it's simple
true.
as that.
And it's hard because those dollars are hard to track.
Yeah.
When you're doing what we call reach marketing,
brand awareness,
a radio, it's like, I don't know if it's working. It's costing me this,
intangible.
So we do as much as we can. We teach them. We have an entire training program for their installers. So we have a whole entire thing that they go through to learn how to do gutters from A to Z, all the products.
Just toured it. Looked pretty neat. You guys have it figured out. I mean, very neat.
And so, yes, they got to go find people. They got to get them trained through our method. And that's the hard part.
Do you help with recruitment? How do you, what are your suggestions on them finding local help?
We do, in the sense of we provide like this portal to help aggregate all the different ads across all the things. But as far as when it comes to franchising, the one thing I never want to be viewed as is somebody's boss. Right. So I also don't want them to say, you got me this crappy guy.
Right.
So franchising it's all about teaching someone how to fish, but not fishing for them.
Got it.
Right. So there's certain parts of the business we can handle. And there's certain parts it's like, look, I'll teach you how to interview. I'll teach you how to go through resumes. I'll teach you how to onboard. We have an unbelievable onboarding process.
Nice.
So that somebody, the last thing you want is somebody showing up for work for the first day and you forgot they started. You're like, I'm not giving you shirts until I think you work out.
And I can only imagine that process there's a wow factor to it. You really are trying to instill the culture and let them know what they're getting into.
Absolutely. You want them to feel like they're the missing piece in your business. Not like, well, we'll see if you work out. That's how most of us treat people. Like, well, I'm not giving you shirts until I know that you're going to come back.
Yeah, prove it. A couple months, you're on probation.
Oh, double, triple probation. So that's what we do.
Right.
And it's still hard. Just so you know, like, it's still hard because they got to go find the people. They got to go figure out how to sell. It's scary when they hire a salesperson and their close rate's 10%.
Just to give like perspective, with 120 franchisees, what is the average head count at a franchisee?
I would guess 5.
5 employees, like with the owner?
With the owner, it's probably going up because now we did have that big group that launched all at the same time, so they're all like on the same trajectory. But you're typically when you first start, 2 installers, most likely a salesperson, the owner, and an admin. So you're starting with 5. So I would say it's probably more close to 8 because most of them go to a second crew within their first 6 to 8 months. Their third crew is in their first full year.
That's great growth.
That's how you break $1 million. It's
for sure.
And for you guys that crush it, 2 crews with how some of you guys can install, you can hit $1 million.
Right.
But for most people that are brand new to the gutter industry, it's that third crew that typically takes them over $1 million. And then, like you said, the sweet spot's between $2 and $3 million. And that's where you're like, do I want to go to 4 or do I want to improve my systems and my net profit?
Right.
And that's where we see a lot of our franchisees pause. They're like, all right, I've been growing. It's like drive for show, putt for dough.
Yeah.
I do 3 million. Well, you keep 50. Who cares? Yeah. So that's where we really, hey, getting over that hump's important. In my opinion, business begins at $1 million. That's what my brother says.
You have a few with multiple markets?
Yeah, multiple markets. Now we are having guys that are actually setting up multiple shops in their territory, and that's huge.
Yeah, that's big stuff.
So there's so much more evolution. It's not just about selling out the country. It's about now helping our franchisees maximize their territory, because saturation is like, what is saturation? 1%? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I know.
And then you're saturated.
Yeah.
So that's the goal, is to continue to find.
So you have plenty of room for growth here. I mean, you guys are still
plenty of room for growth. And then there's always ancillary services that don't necessarily cut into your main, right? I don't want someone starting day one doing underdecking. It's a little bit tougher, or even some fascia soffit, but the fascia soffit's right there.
Right.
So not just gutters, but we can do a little bit of fascia soffit. Maybe there's some underground drainage at some point.
Sure.
So there are other avenues that we can continue to roll out, more ways for them to increase their revenue. But one of the dreams of mine is to have other franchised businesses that they can bolt on.
I love it.
So if there is an underground
modular.
And now they can, they've got a great company. They've already got the infrastructure to add another franchise service that they can blow up to 1, 2, 3, 4 million.
Yeah.
How cool.
Amazing.
So,
and I'm going to dive into and give a little history on me.
I'd love that. Yes.
And you touched on drainage, and that's certainly a space I'm heavily involved in at this point, drainage. But why don't I start, right? Why don't I dive in? So 2003, I started with a partner, very serendipitous. I was lifting weights with a buddy. We worked out every night together, and my girlfriend at the time's parents needed rain gutters. He needed rain gutters on his house, my soon-to-be partner. And so we're like, rain gutter. I don't know anything about rain gutters. What do you know about rain? Nothing. So who do we call? I don't know. So we're like comparing notes on who we're hiring and who we're getting bids from. I think we even shared a few of the contractors locally. And my girlfriend at the time's parents hired somebody under my recommendation. I went out and I remember going to shadow that installer, and they were done when I pulled in. I'm like, what? I missed it? Like, what happened? Yeah. It wasn't a big house, but they boogied through it. So, and then I did the math on it. My partner, same thing. He's like, they were done quick, and that looked easy. So then we did our little research on what materials cost at the time, mind you, 2003. Tried to come up with some semblance on what they profited. Maybe they did, I don't know, $800 in like 2 hours or something profit by our math. And we're like, wow, okay. Well, what if we did 2 jobs a day? We each took 800 for the
rich
day.
By summer.
I was 24, 25 years old, So we dove in, knew nothing, had no mentor, nobody to study from. Went to a supplier and begged, hey, George Yost? You ever buy from Yost Manufacturing?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Waterford, Connecticut.
Yep.
Great guy. Second or third generation gutter supply business. Bought our machine from him. He had us come in on a Saturday, put some special time to the side. This is how you work the machine. This is how you install.
That's awesome.
Boot in the ass. Get the hell out of here. So away we went. Now this is where I knew. This is how my start happened. I said serendipity. I went to the Secretary of State in their website. Mm-hmm. In fact, they must have had a website at the time, 2003. But you go and you do your business search, trade name search, business name search, and Connecticut Gutter LLC was available. I'm like, well, this is interesting. That's very promising. Then I went on domain names and I searched on that. ctgutter.com was available. I'm like, done. I'll take the 2,
awesome. Put
them together, buy them.
Love it.
Let's go. Register with the Secretary of State. Away we go. We're Connecticut Gutter. At night. Now, at the time, I wasn't a techie, but I picked up a book for dummies on HTML. I'm installing all day. I'm coding by night. I built the first website. Then I built the second website, ctgutter.com. We were getting so much traffic. The University of Connecticut was calling us. Hey, we need copper gutters on, 500 feet on a.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a UConn grad, so go install copper gutter at my alma mater. Nothing could be cooler, right? So
get that money back.
So we were getting great jobs. We had to connect. We were getting retail jobs, but we had to connect at UConn who was able to approve work for $10,000 and under, or $9,999 and under, he could just issue a check. He didn't have to go to accounting.
So all different wings.
So we got cute and we figured out how to do all these contracts for, just under 10 grand. And we did like 4 or 5 projects a year. That went on for a few years. I think that's how I got my first piece of skin cancer, was soldering copper at UConn. Now I didn't get sick, but they've cut a lot of stuff off of me.
Oh, wow.
So you put some sunblock on, guys.
Okay.
Ears, hands. But I have a photo. It was Gutter. Do you remember that supplement in Metal Roofing magazine? Gutter something. It was a soft magazine. It was color. Mm-hmm. So we had 3 or 4 articles over the years in there.
Okay.
And one of the marquee jobs that we highlighted was at UConn.
Yep.
And I had my hat on backwards and sunglasses, and I'm tan as hell, and I'm soldering. I was like, I missed that photo. Nobody. So, that's how I got my chops. And then you are working for builders and you're working for roofers, and the volume comes, but you don't realize the margins aren't there, but you're chasing your tail and you're doing all this volume. So I scaled up and I had tons of employees. I got as big as 15 employees.
Wow.
And then you start really, at some point, right, you find your numbers. You get close to the numbers, something pops, and you're just like, you know what, I'm beating myself up. Like, am I doing this right?
Yep.
Am I close to the numbers? Do I know what I'm doing? Maybe I should double check, triple check. I brought in a business coach. I brought in my accountant. I'm like, let's chop this up. Let's figure this out. So I got really, really close to the numbers. And I turned to my business partner and I said, it's not enough money here for the two of us. I mean, we both have been breaking our butts. Neither one of us could live well right now. If one of us owned it, you could live decent. Like, why don't we consider that? And to be honest with you, the truth was, and Chris, I love you, man. If by chance you're watching this, I was the sales guy. It grew to the place where I was the sales guy. I was out on the road all day selling, and then I was building quotes all night. And I'm a English literature major, and I'm meticulous with my writing and my quotations, and I just go that extra mile on everything. So I spent time at night because I wanted to win these jobs. And he, at the time, was a little older than me, 4 or 5 years older, and he had young kids. And I didn't have kids at the time. So he was going home at 3 p.m, and I'd talk to him, and I'd hear the girls in the background. I'm like,
must be nice.
Back to the must be nice. I said, something's got to give. I'm working too hard here. So we did the dance, and, all right, someone's going to buy somebody out. I offered him a number. He offered me a number. We went back and forth. We finally settled. I gave him a healthy payout based on P&L, like based on the numbers. It was a healthy number to walk with. Paid him out, and our last year together, we did $800,000 in revenue. Within 12 months, that very next year, on paper, I did $1.7 million by myself. Wow! And I said, man,
so could have paid both of you.
Well, it's like, what was going on?
Yeah.
Nothing magical happened.
Yeah,
it didn't just start raining from the heavens. Like everything was the same, except now I was in charge of everything. So I'm allocating the stuff he was doing and wearing a few different hats and picking up some of his hats, but there was definitely things getting slipped under the rug. Mm-hmm. So that was an eye-opener. And then I was like, well, that was easy. Like, okay, now what? How far can we take this thing?
Yeah.
So we continued to evolve and grow. And then, roofing, kind of something for a lot of guys, roofing does kind of fall into it. Yeah. I got my chops in roofing. I went to Hague engineering certification courses and, flew out across the country to spend 3 days for an intensive education. And, that really prepares you for like insurance claims and that sort of thing. But then we started selling roofing, and I really didn't go too hard into roofing, just enough to make some supplemental income, but still to this day, very nervous, tentative on roofing. I take roofing projects, but I still find roofing to be dangerous. A lot of liability. Yeah, guys fall off of roofs all the time.
Heavy. Yeah.
So like dabble a little bit there. And then drainage. Drainage came around maybe 8 years ago, where just, you start listening to the customer and you hear it again and again, and a request and a request, and you're like, I just keep turning away this request. Well, what about my ground drains? Can you clean them? Can you camera them? Can you jet them? Can you put them in? Can you repair them? Starts when you're an entrepreneur to say no.
Oh yeah.
You say no a few times, you're like, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. So the evolution on that was brought in a subcontractor, dedicated sub, a drain guy.
Yep.
White labeled van. He'd throw my magnets on.
Oh, nice.
Drain division, Connecticut gutter, and I still make myself laugh with this joke, but by the second year with him, he probably was making 65,000 from us, and he was a one-man show. 65 grand. I did the tally, and I'm like, I just gave him 60 grand last year in drain jetting, and he's grouchy. He's a curmudgeon, and he's on my jobs, and like, it's not a good look for the customers. And what he's doing, I've been studying it. It's not that hard, and I'm leaving all that money on the table. And the guy didn't even give me a fruit basket for Christmas.
What?
Not even a thank you card. It's like, so then you put it on a scale, and you say, do I want to bring this in house or not?
Yeah.
You have to buy equipment. You have to buy another vehicle. You have to buy a jetter. You have to buy a drain camera. These types of equipment, these specialty items are expensive, but man, do you make money with them. Mm-hmm. So we brought those in-house, and then now we're jetting and we're inspecting, and now we're inside the ground drains. And then it became repairs and dig ups. And so then I got with excavation pros and brought them in and created teaming agreements. It evolved into what's called stormwater. Stormwater is the act of collecting water, conveying it, moving it from generally roof drain systems, rain gutters, downspouts, and then injecting that water back into the water table. It's basically handling the water, taking surface runoff where it might normally make a mess on somebody's property, or they have sod and the water just pools on the surface. It doesn't penetrate well. You're taking that water now 4 to 5 feet deep underground.
Wow.
And injecting it back into the water table and handling that water. Homes, down in my neck of the woods, multi-million-dollar homes. I mean, we work on $50 million houses. It's ridiculous. But houses like that, like nothing is untouched and not thought of. So they're not contending with water at the surface. They're not putting splash blocks out. They want that water gone, right? So these systems come into play. Now the municipalities, through pressure from the EPA, are mandated to police and enforce the fact that these systems are being installed with new construction.
Okay.
So this is the way of the world now. This is it's the Clean Water Act of 1978. Actually,
and
is the
they're big on
impetus.
that in Connecticut right now, right?
Very
with the
big.
kids in the schools.
Very big. So the way they police it, the EPA pushes the municipalities and says, you need to attain this level of compliance with these systems. And the municipalities said, well, how are we going to do this? We're not going to go on Ryan's property and service and maintain this system. All right, so it always starts with the building permit, the building permit process, because then you get them right then and there when they need it, right? So I want to build a house. Here are my plans. You need a drainage system. What? What's this drainage system? I don't want that. Too bad, you have to have it. And on these houses, some of these systems are $150,000.
Oh my God.
$200,000. I mean, that's a bigger size system. Our average ticket is $60,000, $59,000.
That's $1,000 above the average gutter ticket.
Our average gutter ticket's $6,200. So this is like a 10-time multiple.
That's amazing.
So I really became a heavy study, a savant. I literally immersed myself into this stuff, and I got with the best, and I got with the best manufacturer. And so we are the only certified Coltech installer in the whole country. Coltech, right here in Connecticut, or we're just over the border now, but back near me, Brookfield, Connecticut. Yep. Phenomenal engineering division there. Some reason or another, they took a liking to me, and I will tell you, I am, when it comes to customer service, but when it comes to the installs, meticulous. Like I'm just a nerd with that stuff, and we do a fantastic job with it. So I love it. It goes hand in hand with rain gutters.
Yeah, you're not.
And we're doing $4 million a year between the two, and then a little bit of roofing sprinkled in. But then again, I have a roof that's going to go in 2 weeks, $250,000 commercial roof.
That's awesome.
Right off of Greenwich Avenue. So like, we do get these juicy nuggets that fall in our lap.
Amazing. But I did have a couple questions.
Yeah.
All right. when you go from, you've got the gutter installers and then you do the underground drain cleaning, do you find it hard to get the same guys to do the different service?
Yes. So I have dedicated.
You have to
techs.
go dedicated because
Yes.
I've noticed that too. It's like
Too much switching,
Yeah, they don't like to switch gears like that.
There is a little bit of crossover though. Like a gutter guy could diagnose if a drain is slow or is potentially problematic.
Like the hose.
You could literally just water test it, run the hose.
Yeah.
But there's other telltale signs, breakage. If the drain is set too low at grade, it should be proud of grade, so there's no soil falling into it, mulch.
Gotcha.
There are like visual telltales. We love Company Cam, leverage Company Cam, so that we could all collaborate and share imagery. So a gutter install team could spot something that an office admin or drain tech doesn't have to go to the house and say, oh yeah, that's a problem. And then the other way around. So the drain techs, and this is something that I found even locally with my competition, a lot of drain techs go, copper downspout, I can't get in that drain. I don't know what to do. The seams are soldered. I don't touch that. Go get a gutter guy out here, get him to move the pipe, and then I'll come back. I classically train my drain techs. Guys, look, you need to learn how to, at least at a minimum, use a rivet gun, saws, be able to cut copper, crimp copper, have all the hand tools, maybe not solder it.
Do you ever unsweat it and just...
Sometimes, but for the most part, what we try to do is create a clean out. So if we don't have a formal drain clean out, we want to create a little clean out in the pipe.
Gotcha.
So within the first 2 feet, just a little sectional piece, we could drill the rivet out or even a copper zip screw.
Gotcha.
Back it off, get in the drain, and then put it back together quick.
So my other question.
Yes.
That's a high average sale.
Yes, it's crazy.
Is it because it's all copper or...
No,
what contributes to that?
It's not copper at all. This is storm chambers that are made out of high density.
So that's your average. So that's not your average sale for gutters.
Oh no, 6,200.
6,200.
Oh yeah. You're talking about my.
I'm just talking
gutter
only. $6,200.
I sell a lot of covers. I sell a lot of systems, lifetime systems, bigger houses.
Yep.
We're getting at least $15 a foot on gutter.
So 15 for the gutter, 20, 25 for the guard?
Depends on the guard, but more around 15, 17.
So $30 all in. Mm-hmm. So that's got to be a lot of house.
And they tend to be. I mean, you're at 250 feet of gutter on average, 150 feet of downspout, somewhere in that realm.
All right, so that's a... Yeah, because the pricing, and not across the whole Brothers system, I mean, it does vary by area, but that's not that far off the pricing in the Northeast. However, the average sales aren't that big.
No, I mean, I know nationally the average ticket's probably like $2,200 on average. But
then I would say it's lower than that because most people won't sell a premium guard.
Up and over ranch, and it's 2 runs at 55 feet or something.
Okay, so that's interesting because that's probably almost $1,500 or so more than some of the people in the Northeast. It's probably on par with Rhode Island.
So
as far as an average ticket.
Yeah, and we talk about it all the time internally, right? In our management meetings, in our marketing meetings, and ownership. My wife is very vocal and active in the company. We work hand in hand these days. In the last 4 years, and it's awesome. But what is our strategy?
Yeah,
our strategy is ultimate customer service.
Yep.
Our strategy is, and what I want is the feedback constantly from my customers.
Yeah,
that I need to be told all the time that George was phenomenal, that Lauren is great in the office. I need to get that all the time, and I do get it.
Yeah.
By the way, Dan, wow, amazing. So if I'm not getting that, what I do is I pair that with a top dollar sales approach. I'm not trying to compete on price. I'm not racing to the bottom. Mm-hmm. Before I sat down, I have a text from a drainage customer, that I still go out in the field because I'm so passionate about this stuff. But again, my average ticket's $59,000. My staff puts a gun to my head and says, "Go sell today."
That's field worthy.
Go make some money. But there's just, if I'm not getting that feedback from my customers, I can't get $6,200 average ticket. Mm-hmm. For me, at 47 and 22 years in, what I want, when my phone first rings and somebody's calling in for an appointment, what we want to hear is, hey, we know you guys are the best. you're probably going to be the most expensive. We just hope we could afford you.
Like literally, if price is the only thing, we're all right. And that's so hard to learn.
I know.
And because I wasn't provide so much value around that price.
I wouldn't say I was ever petrified, but I do remember, and I was always in sales. I was a consummate salesman since I was in high school. But I remember a time in my first 10 years in the rain gutter industry where I was like, I don't want to hit them with that $15 a foot. That's crazy. Like everybody else says 6 or 7. Like I can't do that. Wait. And then you do it. And then you do it again. And then you get the yeses. And then you get the no's and they tell you why no. They tell you why they're not going to give you that. And then you go and work on your business more. That's it. And then you build it. And then you get the yeses again. Yeah. So I don't want the volume.
No, and I hear you. But this is where where I used to get really upset with some of the, like back in the day when we didn't even know how to read our own numbers. I thought that there was companies like the big gutter cover companies.
Yeah.
I thought they were robbing people.
Yeah.
Right?
In some respects, they are.
In some respects. But then as I learned how to scale a business, I couldn't charge what I used to charge when it was me and my brother on a truck.
Yeah.
Right? We could make a decent profit on a $500 job, but then
now you have overhead.
Well, the thing is when someone's like, wow, you're the only one that answered the phone. I'm like, well, that costs $50,000 a year. So now I add 50, whatever it costs. And so what was crazy is as we listening to our client, everything we ever added was at their request. Wow, thank you for calling on the way. It's like, we should call on the way. Thank you for answering that costs money. Well, here's our insurance. Well, the other guy didn't have it. I'm like, all of that stuff goes in the price and then when you start to think about advertising to get that client to call, all the reviews you got to get, all the guys you got to train them to get review. I mean, it's crazy what goes into that price that by the time we're charging $15 a foot, it's actually the margin we need to give the clients what they've always wanted.
That's all it is. It's not crazy.
It's not that our overhead stayed.
So the guys that get upset, actually, look at it the other way, right? So look at it the other way in the sense that the guys that think that they're doing the right thing by charging $6 or $7, they're doing right by the customer, and it's an easy sale for them. How crazy am I? How crazy is Ryan then? If you don't really understand my overhead, I don't expect you to, or what it takes yet. I'd love for you to break that barrier, break through that glass ceiling and understand what true marketing takes and how expensive it is. But I don't expect you to understand that. But then that being said, how dopey am I and Ryan to put $15 a foot out there, right?
It's crazy.
Thinking we're going to get that. So there's a reason why we do. It's because it's what the numbers dictate. It's what we have to do.
You hit on the
head. We
have
no choice.
I can't decide what we charge anymore. We do awesome projections. We put it all in Excel and wizardry and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if I want to be left with this in my pocket, this is what I got to charge. This is what I got to pay the guy. And like, it's literally think of it as buckets. I actually do a whole demonstration about buckets and how the money works. But for $1,000 and it goes through and this guy gets paid and this material gets paid and the salesperson, the marketing. I mean, we're lucky if that $1,000 is $10 or $100 at the end.
I know.
Right?
I get it.
So whether it's 100,000 or $1 million or 10 million, it still has to run through all of that. And the bigger your company gets, you cannot stay at the same overhead.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, so, the other analogy, and we talked about this earlier today, it's like the car dealership analogy. The car salesman analogy. If you're going to go into car sales, you're going to work on a lot. You're going to work for a dealership. You only have so much time in a day, right? How many cars can you physically sell, regardless of type of car, make, model, cost? You can only sell so many in a day. What kind of car are you going to sell? Are you going to sell something that sells for $20,000? Or are you going to try to put on a nice shirt, comb your hair once in a while, trim your beard, shave your neck, and sell a $250,000 Ferrari? Like, okay, those are the extremes. But why not go sell a $100,000, fully loaded GMC Denali? Like, sell those trucks and make a Primo. It's the same effort, same amount of time. Yep. You're going to sell one truck a day or one Hyundai or whatever.
Yep.
Where do you put your time and your money?
Agreed.
For me, again, 22 years in, I can't go back. There's no way I'm going back down to those dirtball prices. I can't have it. It's not reflective of my brand at this point. They don't play together anymore.
And your price is reflective of your brand, right? Because
They judge you by everything, right?
yeah, because if you show up in a beater and you show up late and you didn't call, you know what? I've done this on my own house. I've hired contractors and I rolled the dice because I was being not cheap,
Right.
but I'm like, I can tell the difference between a company that's going to have a war and things go wrong with the owner operator and they go wrong with the big guy. But
Right.
who do you think is going to come back? That's kind of what you're rolling the dice. And I've rolled the dice and people roll the dice. And there is and I love that there's people at all different levels because you can't start, unless you buy a franchise, you get to look like you've been doing it for 20 years.
Right.
But for the most part, you're starting where you start. And that $6 a foot is enough. But as you start to add people or get better people or want to start advertising, it's got to go to 7. I want to hire someone in the office. Well, I got to go to 8 or 9. Yeah. And I want to, I got to get on the radio. I'm not getting enough clients. Oh, now I'm at 10 or 11. So it is
You
kind
guys
of.
got to get close to your numbers.
You got to know them.
So, and we'll get into it. Gutter School is one of our.
Oh, yes. Let's talk about Gutter School.
Well, I have a course coming up in 2 weeks, the 5th of June, and it's on average dollar per lead. Right. And ADL is what we call it.
Yep.
And that is the quintessential number. If there's one KPI you're going to study your business on, to me, it's that. And I'm marketing this course and right over people's heads. And I'm like, I know it sounds like a mouthful of words and you don't know what it is. And you're like, I don't need that. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
I love that because everything's based off it.
Get close to your numbers. If you don't know that, integrate it into your business to know Ryan's out there doing estimates today. What's Ryan worth to the operation, right? Yeah. What is every lead I go spend money to buy, whatever that hard cost is for that lead, and I tuck into Ryan's schedule for the day. How much is Ryan bringing back for every lead I pay out for? I need to know that.
Yeah.
If Ryan is really screwing the pooch, there might be a different role for Ryan here, or I got to spend some more time with Ryan. And and if you're not getting as granular as that, guys. That's baseline stuff.
Oh, that's like the top. And then because my mind goes nuts because it's like, all right, well, that's how much it costs for the lead, but what's your close rate? Right? Because your close rate and what's your average sale? Because then once I know your average sale and close rate, I can actually predict because I know what every appointment's worth. So if you have 10 estimates on and I know your average appointment now based on those couple numbers is worth $1,000, I know you're good for 10 grand this week.
Exactly.
So we take that basic number and now you've got close rate, average sale, and now I can just start counting estimates and guess what our revenue is going to be.
That's right. That's right. You
Crazy.
can forecast.
I love that stuff.
The other thing is too, and right now, I mean, it's we're
about 2 hours in, right?
We're almost in June, but a lot of guys are slow nationally. I think it's the election year. There's like some weird vibes going on. Inflation's crazy. Again, people are still buying gutters, guys.
Oh yeah.
But, all of these things considered, if you don't know your numbers and you're not close to just the inner workings of the business and what something costs you in order to incur the next win, the next project, you're in big trouble.
Yeah. I love the number. You have to, the pursuit of happiness. There's a great line in it, great quote, Will Smith trying to make his way, sees a guy pull up in a Ferrari and he's like, dude, what do you do and how do you do it? And he's like, got to be good with numbers and good with people. And that's it. I mean, really.
It's really that basic.
It is that basic, and good with numbers is like, I love
certainly helps.
I mean, and good with people. Everything. No one wants to work for an a-hole.
So true.
A
lot of people do though, right?
They do, but they don't do it effectively. They might just begrudgingly go to work. But it doesn't mean that they're giving their best.
So we're trying to what I'm doing is no different than what you're doing. We're trying to change.
We found two different ways
and lives,
to do it.
And it's just that's it. So we're heavily on the digital side now. My businesses have been a means to an end, so to say. Like I make enough money in a year to self-fund other entrepreneurial endeavors. Heneghan Digital is my future. Mm-hmm. It's where I actually got my start out of college. I was selling web-based software development. Yep. So that's where I came from. And I was an IT recruiter.
Wow.
So I got my chops in that. And then I went into the home improvement space. That's what I was doing when I met my old partner, lifting weights.
It's crazy.
Or when we decided to do it together. So now it's coming full circle. We are bringing it back to the people. Mm-hmm. I mean, Gutter App, we built Gutter App last year. It's just coming out of beta.
Awesome.
We have V2 that's releasing in like 3 weeks. just on a long call with the Netherlands with our programming team yesterday. Everything is looking great. That's been a fun.
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun with that. The other stuff we're into is web development, lead generation via those websites. Not just a website, an intuitive, supercharged website that really has keywords in mind and exactly where you're operating and city pages and a lot of meat and potatoes that make that website buzz and get you traction and make the phones ring. Lead tracking, we do a lot of that. Having a lot of fun with it. Gutter School is, so now it's all digital for us. So Gutter Installer Facebook group, Gutter School, just having fun. It's awesome. It's amazing, the network of people.
So cool.
I wish I had that when I was 22,
and no one would talk to us back in the day. I know. Everyone hated each other in the gutter industry. It was hilarious.
But these are the things you guys can do. I mean, my thought is roll up my businesses, sell them as a hyper-local package. I have a lot of interest locally where I live, but my rain gutter, even my drainage business, roll them up, take a payday, and all that overhead, that massive overhead I have with my home improvement businesses.
You're a technology company.
Yeah, just go to technology and
I love it.
Just, you could be anywhere and do that, right?
You can, and look at all the lives you can impact. I mean, just the gutter installer page alone. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And that's my favorite thing is my brother and I, we love to create opportunity.
Right.
And that was one of the biggest reasons to keep growing is because I lost a guy one time because I already had a field supervisor and he could have been one, but I wasn't growing fast enough to need two.
Right.
And I lost him. He eventually opened up a franchise, but I hated that. I couldn't grow my company fast enough, and I lost somebody that was great.
Well, so you just touched on an intangible that I know you have. You just illustrated that you do. I do. It's that hunger and that drive. How do we instill that in others? How do some of these guys out there that are kind of just tripping along, slinking along, but there's not that, they put a few hours in on the PlayStation every day, they're not really, I don't like.
You're talking about owners or installers?
Guys that are, entrepreneurs.
Hey, if you're hungry, it's contagious.
Books maybe, right? That might be a good first step.
And hunger. I mean, it comes down to hunger. At the end of the day.
But where do you get that hunger? It's kind of a je ne sais quoi. Where did it come from in the first place? I don't know where it came from for me. I just had it.
Some people have it, and other people you have to kind of spark it. I've noticed that there's some people that this was literally just another dead-end job, and we invested in them. And then all of a sudden they saw somebody else start running a truck, and they should have been, but they got passed by, and they woke up. So that's been the cool thing about the installer side is we joked years ago that we make boys to men, but it's true. We take some of these people that are they're boys, and they don't realize how good they have it, and they do no call, no show. And for some of us back in the day, it's no call, no show, no second chances. I found some of our best second chances are our best employees.
Wow.
But not always.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, I like when someone quits because their plumbing buddy said they're going to order them give them another $1 an hour. Right. And they come with their tail between their legs going, yeah, it was only 20 hours a week and it wasn't great and no one treated, and they did this. It's and then they tell everyone. So,
but that's I would say the culture.
It's our job as the owner to pull the best out of people.
Right.
But if they don't have hunger, because everyone wants more money and they don't want to work more. I know we got to wrap up, but my brother-in-law one time, one of his installers, he knew he wanted to make more money and he was really close with him. He's like, dude, what if I figured out a way that you could make $1,000 more a month? Are you interested? He's like, yeah, heck yeah. He goes, work Saturdays.
Simple math, right?
It was awesome. I thought that was great, but that's where the hunger is. And I think most people, they're just not hungry, but they all want more.
So, maybe to wrap and end it on this, to me, for you installers, entrepreneurs out there, you really picked a tough trade to just kind of slink through. If you're not hungry and you're not working on yourself and you're just subsisting, and put it this way, if you're doing it yourself, okay, I still think what a tough day. Why do that to yourself? But if you are looking to grow and you just aren't putting anything into yourself, man, you're a glutton for punishment. This is not the industry for that. Well, this is brutal.
It's a glutton for punishment in anything you're doing, whether it's gutters. If the recipe for burnout is doing the same thing, different day. right? But when you're building something, when your goal is to go from 1 crew to 2 crews, now everyone's excited. Now there's vision.
Right.
Where there is vision, there's hope. And that's what people want to work towards something. Years ago, they did this study. They had a bunch of people they hired to dig a ditch. And they said, I'm going to pay you all, I don't know, $10 an hour to dig a ditch as long as you can. But they didn't tell them what they were doing and why.
Right.
And the next day, only X amount of people showed up. And they kept increasing the money, and eventually nobody showed up, even though they were paying them a lot of money because there was no purpose.
No vision, no purpose.
There was no purpose to it.
Makes sense.
And if you never are going to grow past 1 truck, then it's okay. You're going to have a rotating bunch of helpers. Domino's Pizza has 100% turnover, right?
Yeah.
People aren't building their entire careers as a pizza slinger.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So if that's your business model, you can't be upset that you can't keep good people. You have to look at the data and go, all right, I average about 8 months. So around month 6, you better start looking.
Yeah.
And that's okay. If you want this to be a lifestyle business
So maybe the message is, dig deep and really try to find your purpose and your vision and your end goal here.
Absolutely.
Ryan just made it very clear what his end goal was. I mean, he's got numbers he's trying to hit. He's got a vision. My end goal is now to move into my second phase, right? Like the whole time I had a vision, and that was what drove. That's what motivated.
That's
me.
what keeps you.
That's why you work those late
I'm not
nights.
making any money. What am I doing? And it's like, no, but there's a bigger goal.
You're right.
Right. So, well,
hey, dude.
man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks for having us here.
This has been incredible.
Very much so.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
All right.
All right, guys. We'll see you back on the homestead.